Howdy race fans, welcome to my little show about motorsports I like to call In the Pits with me, StockCar Scott. Here each Wednesday on the YouTube during racing season when I feel like it. This week I will be spending much of the show talking about South Sound Speedway because we had so much fun there on Saturday evening. But first, some of the other stuff from the world of stock car racing with NASCAR at home in Charlotte this weekend and also next weekend. The Xfinity Series is off until this coming Saturday, so the Camping World Truck Series started off the festivities on Friday with a quick 200-mile race at Charlotte on Friday evening after qualifying for the Monster Energy Cup All-Star race wrapped up, with Kyle Larson putting the number 42 Chip Ganassi's Target Chevrolet on the pole in the modified qualifying format that included no speed limits on pit lane for some very, very hot pit stops. The number 4 Busch Beer crew of Kevin Harvick's team won the Best Pit Crew award for the evening. Next up was another truck race ruined by the participation of the Toad. He won all the stages. Took all those points away. His driver of the number 4 Tundra, Christopher Bell, was on the front row with his boss for the start, but early in the race he had problems that got him to the rear of the field, but he battled back all night for a third place finish behind points leader Johnny Sauter, who finished second behind the Toad for a second week. And now that puts Bale in second in points, I do believe, with the next Camping World Truck Race June 2nd at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Saturday afternoon was time for more festivities of speed from Charlotte Motor Speedway with open race qualifying and of course that race following. Then the All-Star race. I tell you folks, the last stage of the open was the best racing of the night, but I get ahead of myself as usual. I didn't even see those races live. Instead, I set up the video recorders for the All-Star and Open races and my wife's bicycle race in California. Then we headed south to Rochester for a fast and fun evening of family-friendly local racing at South Sound Speedway. Of course, we left early as to have plenty of time to get stuck in traffic in Tacoma, which we did, and also to do a little Walmarting in Chehalis. And yes, Walmarting is a gerund of the verb form of Walmart, meaning to shop at Walmart. We also hit a few antique shops in Chehalis, as we also have become fond of antiquing in our advanced years. We got over to the track a little after 6 p.m. as qualifying was winding down. I had time to enjoy my favorite chili cheese fries and do a bit of visiting. It was our first trip to South Sound Speedway for this season, so I had to say howdy to a bunch of people that I haven't seen since last year. A special shout out goes out to Kelly Hale, who was nice enough to let me plug this show and this YouTube channel to all of the race fans there in the grandstands at South Sound Speedway. Kelly does a great job there as the announcer, and it is good to see that he is feeling better. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you a lot. The dashes and the heats passed quickly there at South Sound, so I didn't capture all of that on video. So I combined the heats races that I did record with the mains from the same class for posting on YouTube. I've already got the 100 lap super late model feature posted, and the FSCRA Super 4 late models and the baby grands, they're all posted, and I got about 400 views so far. I will soon have the legends put up there on YouTube as soon as I can after I get done doing the show here. According to the South Sound Speedway results, and pretty much from what I witnessed, Corey Boyle won the Baby Grand 25 lap main over by over a second over Brad Crawford. In the FSCRA Super 4 late models, the fastest car of Jeff Jones seems to have been wrecked early in the 20 lap main by a visiting driver who went on to win that four-banger feature. The Legends had a field of 10 of those fast little racers that ran a 30-lap main won by Devin West. I am pretty sure that is right because I talked to Devin in the pits after the race and he said that they had cleared tech. The race of the night, though, was the 100-lap feature for 15 super late models. I saw Chad Hinkle before the race and he beamed with confidence because of his pole starting position. Chad led most of the race in his number 33X Lexar Home Chevy. Late in the 100-lap event, Wade Bland, who visits from Vancouver, BC occasionally to see if the exchange rate still works in his favor, took his number 074 to the lead and held it there to the end despite engine troubles and loads of pressure from Hinkle in second. Because Bland was slipping in the water of his own overheating engine in the last lap, Hinkle was able to draw within a wheel well of Wade at the line with a finish that had all the race fans in the grandstands up on their feet cheering. It was a great finish, folks. Watch the video. Yep, it was a wonderful evening of racing that I feel was well worth the $16 admission. Though the price of the South Sound Speedway souvenir program has risen this season, but I still got me one. Okay. On the way home, my wife and I stopped in Lacey for a little more Walmarting, you know, for fresh foods and frozen stuff. Then when we got stuck in I-5 construction traffic near SeaTac before getting home well after midnight. And before I forget, this weekend South Sound Speedway has 2 days of racing with late models, mini stocks, hobby stocks, and bumblebees. And to be honest, I would really like to go there Sunday if it wasn't for the holiday traffic. So I guess I'll just have to be satisfied with going up north to the Mark Galloway 150 on the big 5/8 mile track, and Legends, mini stocks, and street stocks on the 3/8 mile inner track on Saturday night at Evergreen Speedway in Monroe. Plus, I have the marathon of racing on television to watch, which will pretty much wear me down on Sunday. While on Evergreen Speedway, let me mention last week's results with Toby Jenkins victorious in Hornets and Dario Rachik the winner in Youth Hornets. In figure 8 racing, Steve Cox won in stock figure 8s and Jamie Corbett won in the Stinger 8s. Sorry, no results have been posted for the big rigs that ran Saturday night at Evergreen. Speaking of results, Cole Sorensen from up at Western Speedway up in BC, Wade Bland's home track, sent me results from last weekend. They had mini stocks won by Ryan Patterson, Old Time Racers Association, that was won by George Jensen. The stock cars, my favorite, were won by Spencer Carlson, and the non-wing sprint cars won by Jeff Montgomery. Next weekend, Western Speedway's plans include 3 days of monster trucks, drifting, motocross, and a fire-breathing dragon. Sounds like Spokane had another interesting night of racing this weekend. Those crying, "How long can this go on?" last weekend found out this weekend. The 2 touring series and 3 local divisions, well, with that much, maybe Spokane was just a bit overscheduled. By the time 68 cars got qualified, then dashes and all the races were run with all of the cautions that occurred, the night had again turned to early morning by the time the final checkered flag waved. I read by the time that it was over, there were some tired and irritable race fans. That's one of the things I liked about South Sound Speedway this weekend. We were driving away well before 11 p.m., even with me visiting after the race. Memorial Day weekend, all I see scheduled for the Oval at Spokane County Raceway are Bump to Pass and the boat races. So I hope they get the track drained by the following weekend, June 3rd, when I plan to be there for the Better All Auto Sales Twisted Tea West Coast Late Model Series for their 4th 100-lap event of their ambitious 11-race 2017 season. And before I get too far away from Spokane, the results of their ambitious night of racing last Saturday and Sunday morning was as follows. According to the Northwest Asphalt Racing results page on Facebook. Dustin Mitchell won in the Bandoleros main. Ricky Hector won the Roadrunners main. Hobby Stocks main, that was won by Todd Hagel. And then Jason Majors won in the Royal Purple Northwest Mini Stock Tour event. Last of the night was the Caution Field Northwest Super Late Model Series 125 lap feature, won by a legendary driver here in the Northwest that runs the series. The next date for the Northwest Super Late Model Series is at South Sound Speedway on the 3rd of June, ironically, when I will be in Spokane with the West Coast Late Models. I read that Hermiston Raceway is taking this weekend off, which I suppose is in deference to Yakima Speedway, who is having a big weekend with the Tri-State Street Stock Series, Hornets, Super Stocks, and Bump to Pass. I understand there is a bonus floating around out there to get more street stocks to show up, and I am sure some of the Yakima regulars will be running in that big race. It should be a lot of fun. Let's see what I missed here. What have I missed? Oh yeah, NASCAR had that all-star thing that they had at Charlotte Saturday. I watched some of it early Sunday when we got home. The open part of the night was pretty good. I mean, Clint Boyer did lead every lap of the first stage, and Ryan Blaney led all of the stage that he won getting into the all-star race. But once they got to that last stage, it was Katie bar the door, and a bunch of racing actually broke out among the NASCAR's young guns in those last 10 laps. When the dust settled, literally, Daniel Suarez had raced his way into the big show. Chase Elliott, with a dented front end, was voted in by the fans, and Eric Jones was back in his hauler rethinking that pass in the grass he attempted in the final stage. That was some fun racing just to get into the All-Star race where they might win $1 million. I know how the All-Star race played out by the posts on Facebook that I received on my phone while I was enjoying the racing at South Sound Speedway. It is a shame Dale Earnhardt Jr. stunk so badly in his last All-Star appearance that he was eliminated. But I went on to bed and saved that All-Star race for some time sometime later. Sunday, I got up, watched the ARCA 200 lap race at Toledo, Ohio, and I watched about a half hour of it before realizing the broadcast was not live. Yep, I logged onto the ARCA website to follow along, only to find results. Oops. Well, I watched the rest of the race because I was interested in seeing how Jeff Burton's boy Harrison got his first ARCA victory. Dalton Sargent ran second and maintained second in the driver points behind Austin Terrio going into the next ARCA event on the 3rd of June, which unfortunately is only shown on MAV TV, at Elko Speedway, a track the size of South Sound Speedway in Minnesota. I wonder if Kelly Hale has ever been to Elko. It is just a little ways southwest of St. Paul, where he is originally from. I'll have to ask him. Hey Kelly, you ever been to Elko Speedway? I bet the answer is yes. After the ARCA broadcast was over, I went out for a little yard work. My wife asked as we pull weeds together there on her knees, she asked, why haven't you watched the All-Star race yet? To which I answered, oh, I can watch the Toad win anytime. Next up for NASCAR is another weekend at Charlotte starting tomorrow evening with Cup qualifying for Sunday's Coca-Cola 600. Then Saturday, before the Mark Galloway 150, is the Xfinity 300 race there at Charlotte. Then, of course, is the marathon of racing starting early on Sunday. Yes, Monaco, then Indy, then Charlotte. Each year is a holiday of sorts for me. So be sure to watch In the Pits next week to see how many I actually got through. I usually fall asleep during the Indy 500, so I can enjoy all 600 miles there at Charlotte. And did you hear that NASCAR added a stage there by editing the 400 laps into 4 stages instead of just 3? Great. That gives drivers an extra chance to get all stupid over the chance for a few more points there at the 450 mile mark as the fatigue of a 600-mile race begins to set in. Look for a big wreck around lap 299. I just hope Dale Jr. is able to avoid it. I wanted to mention one more thing during this episode. Though not a motorsport I watch or report upon, the GP motorcycle racing community lost one of their best this week in Kentucky's Nicky Hayden, who succumbed to injuries sustained in a bicycle accident with a car during his training regimen. It is a tragic loss that reminds us all of the care we must take as motorists around fast-moving, sparsely protected cyclists, especially in this region. So, be sure you watch for bicyclists whenever you are out, like when you are out going to a local racing this weekend. You have the big Mark Galloway 150 up in Monroe to choose from, and tickets are only $20 for adults and $10 for seniors and juniors. Check their website. You can also enjoy 2 days of late models, hobby stocks, mini stocks, and bumblebees if you live south of the Metro Sound area and you don't care to deal with traffic. Yeah, you can go to South Sound Speedway. Believe me, I totally understand. And for you race fans on the east side that aren't coming over for the Mark Galloway 150, the Tri-State Street Stock event at Yakima Speedway looks like it should be a really fun race. So go see some racing this holiday weekend. But also remember, the men and women throughout our history as an independent nation that gave the ultimate sacrifice so we could have the freedoms we enjoy today. And if you care to properly commemorate, may I suggest you return to the origin of the day, called Decoration Day, and spend Monday finding and decorating the grave of one of these heroes of our freedoms, and leave a flag and some flowers. On a lighter note before I go, and I cleared this one through a Canadian, so it should be cool. Here goes. What's the difference between how an American driver says he won the feature and how a Canadian driver conveys the same information? The American driver says, "I won the A-main." The Canadian driver says, "I won the main." Man, I need a laugh track. Okay, if that one didn't run you off now, I will be back to talk racing and how you should go to racing next Wednesday here on the YouTube. Same Stock Car time, same Stock Car channel, here on my little show about motorsports I like to call In the Pits with me, Stock Car Scott. Now go see some racing this fine holiday weekend, and then celebrate your country. USA, 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 USA.